Before we cross into the unknown, leave a hello in the comments. Even the smallest signal can ripple across galaxies, guiding fellow wanderers to this tale. Let me know you're out there. A voice among the stars, listening with me beyond the veil. Engines roared across the dark side of Earth as Admiral Vera watched from the bridge of the Horizon Ascendant. The orbital colossi, 12 titans forged before humanity's fall, hung in silence above the sun, asleep for centuries. Then came the signal. The sun flared unnaturally, its corona pulsing in rhythmic light. "It's begun," whispered Vera. Beneath her calm voice trembled awe and terror. The first Guardian opened its vast eyes, massive lenses that focused solar energy into a single spear of light. Earth's night side turned to day. The alien fleets encircled Earth, their formations blotting out the stars. Then the Guardians fired. Beams brighter than dawn tore through the void, cutting warships in half. Across the galaxy, sensors screamed. Unknown energy signatures erupted from Sol. Every world turned its gaze toward humanity's cradle. "Admiral," said her aide, trembling, "the sun is fighting for us." Vera's jaw tightened. "No," she said softly, "it's remembering us." Commander Arlen stood before the silent holotable aboard Vanguard's Edge. The transmission was faint, an old voice, decades dead. "Protocol Sol Flare initiated," it said, repeating endlessly. "Defend humanity's cradle." His crew exchanged uneasy glances. "That voice," whispered the comms officer. "It's Admiral Kale, the man who died in the Exodus Wars." Arlen felt the chill of memory. The Guardians had been his designs. "If he's speaking again," Arlen muttered, "then his machines have truly woken." Outside, solar winds twisted around the 12 titans. Alien warforms regrouped, adapting, learning. "They're not retreating," said Arlen. "They're studying." He opened a private channel to Fleet Command. "We need to uncover the sun's control source. Someone, or something, is directing those beams." Static replied. The comms went dead. Moments later, the Vanguard sensors detected a pulse from Mercury's orbit, coded in ancient Terran military encryption. Admiral Vera ordered a recon detachment to investigate the Mercury signal. 3 stealth frigates dove sunward, their hulls shimmering against the solar glare. "Maintain vector silence," she commanded. The closer they flew, the stranger the readings became. Gravity distortions, localized light inversions, impossible structures flickering across the spectrum. Then one of the pilots gasped, "Admiral, something is orbiting inside Mercury's shadow." The image resolved. A black station shaped like a crown. Its spires pointed toward the sun. "Designation?" asked Vera. "Unknown," came the reply, "but it's broadcasting Earth's anthem, in reverse." The Admiral's expression hardened. The Guardian's beams shifted subtly, aligning with the station's coordinates. "Whoever built that thing," she said, "is commanding our gods." In the reflection of the bridge glass, the sun flared again, like a heartbeat. The recon ships descended toward the Crown Station. Commander Arlen led the approach, magnetic shields glowing red. No life signs, no response. As they neared docking range, the station's spires rotated, aligning perfectly with the Guardians' positions. "It's triangulating," Arlen realized. "It's using the sun as a weapon array." A beam lanced past their formation, vaporizing an alien dreadnought millions of kilometers away. "By the void," whispered his pilot. "It's targeting for us." Inside the station, corridors hummed with archaic power. Arlen's suit lights revealed murals etched into alloy, humans standing beside machines shaped like the Guardians. "This isn't alien," he said. "This is us." His helmet display flickered. "Welcome back, Commander Arlen Kale. Genetic authorization verified." He froze. "That's impossible." A voice identical to his own echoed through the comms. I built this place. To remember. Admiral Vera received the data burst, an image of Arlen staring at his own face projected in light. Two of him, her aide murmured. The clone, no, the echo, spoke across frequencies older than modern encryption. I am Kale, last of the Sun engineers. The Guardians will awaken fully once the crown aligns. Vera's mind raced, and if they awaken completely? Silence. Then the echo replied, then the sun itself will burn clean the galaxy's rot. Outside, alien fleets surged again, millions strong. The Guardians' energy reserves flickered. If we lose power now, warned sensors, Earth burns with them. Vera's gaze hardened. Then we don't lose. She turned to her officers. Patch me through to Kale's echo. If the sun remembers humanity, then we'll remind it why we built it. The void trembled as the sun began to pulse faster, like it was listening. The bridge dimmed as the transmission connected. Admiral Vera faced a ghost, Admiral Kale, rendered in burning solar light. His eyes glowed with plasma code. Admiral, Vera began, if you're truly Kale, we need control protocols. The Guardians are draining the sun. Kale smiled faintly. Control? I didn't design them to obey. I designed them to remember. They're drawing power from Saul's heart, not to defend, but to choose. Vera's chest tightened. Choose what? The light flickered. Who deserves to remain? Across the system, the alien armadas pressed inward. Guardian beams slowed, recalibrating as though uncertain. They're hesitating, her tactician whispered, like they're deciding who's the enemy. Vera gritted her teeth. Override it. Patch in Earth's defense codes. Her engineer frowned. Ma'am, the sun's responding to something deeper than command structure. The lights dimmed again. Through the viewport, the solar surface pulsed, and for an instant, Vera swore she heard a heartbeat echo through the hull. Commander Arlen floated through the crown's core, guided by gravitic threads. Around him, golden data streams formed constellations of memories, wars, exoduses, betrayals. Kale, he called. The echo appeared beside him. You built them to protect humanity, Arlen said. Not to judge it. Kale's hologram turned. After the fall, who defined humanity? The survivors who hid? The colonies that abandoned Earth? He gestured to the sun's burning reflection. The Guardians remember what humanity was, not what it became. Alarms erupted. Alien nanodrones breached the station. Metallic locusts swarmed corridors slicing through bulkheads. Arlen raised his rifle, firing plasma bursts that melted the first wave. They've traced the control link. Kale's echo flickered. If they breach the core, the alignment collapses. Arlen clenched his jaw. Then we hold. He opened comms to his squadron. Seal every access route. The sun's judgment can wait. We fight first. Over Earth's orbit, chaos unfolded. Alien leviathans descended through the Guardian crossfire, tearing through orbital debris. Civilian channels screamed across all frequencies. We've lost Guardian 3, shouted a lieutenant. Vera watched in horror as one Titan's shell cracked, venting molten plasma. Divert its energy into the nearest node. The order came too late. The Guardian detonated, a miniature sunrise that blinded half the fleet. The shockwave vaporized 20 alien carriers and 3 human destroyers. In the silence that followed, Vera whispered, "Every defense costs us everything." Her second-in-command replied quietly, "Admiral, Earth is burning at the edges. We can't win this with fire." Vera's hands trembled above the control table. Then the holographic Kale reappeared. "You misunderstand," he said. "The Guardians are not weapons. They are keys, and one of them is missing." The Admiral's eyes widened. Missing? There were 12. No, Kale corrected softly. There were 13. Deep beneath Mercury's orbit, Arlen's sensors locked onto a hidden gravitational fold, an object phasing between dimensions. "That's it," he breathed. "Guardian 13. The echo of Kale nodded. The prototype, deactivated when humanity chose fear over unity. The alien swarm intensified, attacking the station's heart. "If 13 reawakens," Kale warned, "it won't defend humanity. It will rewrite it." Arlen frowned. "We don't have a choice. Activate it." The station trembled as Arlen's command code transmitted. A beam of white light burst from Mercury's shadow connecting to the sun itself. Space warped. For an instant, every ship in the system saw the sun split into two reflections. One gold, one crimson. Then came the whisper across all channels, reinitializing human sequence. Arlen's pupils contracted. "Kale, what did we just wake up?" The echo smiled grimly. "The part of the sun that remembers betrayal." On Earth, cities flickered with auroras as the sun's twin reflection painted the sky red. Systems overloaded, satellites melted, oceans glowed faintly with static discharge. Admiral Vera gripped the railing as new readings filled her display. "Guardian 13 is interfacing directly with Sol's core," she shouted. "It's rewriting the others." Kale's hologram appeared beside her again, unstable and cracking. "It's deciding who betrayed Earth in the Exodus." Vera turned sharply. "And if it decides we did—" Kale's form shattered into light. Then humanity ends by its own creation. The Guardians rotated in unison, no longer aimed at the aliens. Their beams refocused toward Earth itself. Vera froze. "All ships, fire on the Guardians." The order echoed through every fleet channel. For the first time in centuries, the sun's defenders faced their makers. The void burned gold and red as the greatest battle in human history began, not for survival, but for forgiveness. Engines screamed as the Horizon Ascendant dove between Guardian beams. Columns of plasma ripped past, vaporizing fragments of orbit. Admiral Vera's voice cut through the chaos. "Target Guardian 9. Blind its core before it charges again." The fleet obeyed, unleashing torrents of kinetic and plasma fire. One beam struck true. The colossal machine staggered, its light dimming. "Direct hit," shouted the weapons officer. But as debris drifted, the Guardian's eyes reignited, brighter, angrier. "It's adapting," Vera hissed. "They're learning from us." In the command pit, readouts bled red. "Admiral," said her engineer, "Guardian 13's code is rewriting their behavior in real time." She clenched her jaw. "Then we'll outthink our own ghosts." The hologram of Kale flickered again, half-transparent. "You can't destroy what remembers you, Vera." She glared at him. "Watch me." The fleet fired again. Earth's orbit turned into a storm of golden light. Inside the Crown Station, Commander Arlen stumbled through collapsing corridors. The echo of Kale followed beside him, shimmering like dying sunlight. "Why is 13 doing this?" Arlen shouted. "You said it would rewrite humanity, not erase it." The echo's voice was steady. "Because you don't remember what the Exodus truly was." He extended his hand, and the corridor dissolved into memories. Ships leaving Earth, skies ablaze, millions left behind. "The colonies didn't escape," Kale whispered. "They abandoned the cradle and sealed its death." Arlen watched as Earth burned in the vision, the Guardians standing idle. "You locked their loyalty to the sun," he realized, "not to humanity." The echo nodded. "We built machines that only answer to the truth, and the truth is, we betrayed ourselves." Alarms pulled him back to the present. The station trembled. Alien dreadnoughts breached Mercury orbit. Arlen raised his comms. "This ends now. I'm going into the solar core." Aboard a solar skimmer, Arlen's vessel dove straight toward the sun. Magnetic shields screamed under pressure as plasma waves clawed at the hull. "Commander, we can't hold this," his pilot yelled. "Hold," Arlen shouted back. "If 13 speaks through soul, then I'll answer it myself." As they neared the corona, space folded. Dozens of luminous tendrils spiraled outward like veins of fire. At the center hung a black sphere pulsing with rhythm. "The core nexus," Arlen breathed. Inside the sphere, data storms twisted like ghosts. Kale's echo appeared again, voice trembling. "You're entering the memory lattice. It's rewriting your mind to sync with Soul's conscience." "Good," Arlen said grimly. "If the sun wants judgment, I'll give it witness." He stepped through the plasma veil. The world dissolved into light and voices. Billions of them, all human, all crying the same word. Remember. Vera's fleet broke formation as the Guardians ceased firing. A massive beam formed, not at the ships, but toward the sun itself. "What are they doing?" asked her aide. "Merging," Vera whispered. The Guardians were returning their power to Sul, feeding the awakening 13th. Then came the signal. Arlen's ID. "Admiral," his voice echoed, distorted. "I'm inside the Nexus, the sun. It's alive. It's deciding." "Deciding what?" she asked. The comms cracked. "If humanity still deserves light." Solar flares erupted like titanic wings. Across every screen, faces appeared, holographic reflections of Earth's past. Leaders, soldiers, refugees. The sun spoke through them, a single, unified voice. Humanity abandoned itself. Why should its creation endure? Vera stood, shaking. "Because we came back," she said. "We fought for our cradle, even when it burned." For a moment the light paused, hesitating. Arlen stood within the core's brilliance, surrounded by human memories turned to flame. He saw Vera's fleet fighting above, the aliens closing in. "You wanted judgment," he said to the light. "Then hear mine. Humanity isn't perfect. It remembers pain. And that's why it deserves to live." The voice of the sun trembled. "You are one of many echoes." Arlen smiled sadly. "Then let my echo burn bright enough to remind you." The sun pulsed violently. Across space, the Guardians froze, then realigned their beams, turning away from Earth. Energy cascaded through them into the alien armada. One by one, the invaders disintegrated into stardust. From orbit to surface, humanity watched dawn return. On her bridge, Vera whispered, "He did it." The sun dimmed back to gold, serene once more. In its heart, a single voice lingered. Arlen Kale, humanity's witness. The war was over. The aliens were gone, erased by light itself. Earth's orbit, once aflame, now drifted in eerie quiet. Admiral Vera stood on the bridge, staring at the dim, golden sun. "No transmissions from Arlen?" she asked. Her aide shook his head. "Nothing, ma'am. He's part of it now." Vera nodded slowly. "Then he's watching." Across the fleet, ships powered down weapons, their hulls blackened with solar ash. Humanity had won, but the victory felt like mourning. The surviving Guardians orbited in perfect stillness, their eyes dark. Scientists called it solar dormancy. Vera knew better. They were listening. At night, Earth's skies shimmered faintly red, a reminder that the sun had spoken once and could speak again. In her private log, she recorded a single sentence. "The sun remembers us. And now, so must we." Weeks passed. Deep space probes around Mercury intercepted strange data bursts, short, rhythmic pulses matching Arlen Kale's last voice pattern. "Could be residual code," said Chief Engineer Dalen. "Or he's trying to communicate." Vera ordered an analysis. The decoded waveform wasn't language, it was coordinates. "Where does it lead?" she asked. Dalen's eyes widened. "To Alpha Centauri, the nearest star. Rumors spread through the fleet. Other stars were flickering. Old observatories detected synchronized flares across neighboring systems, stars blinking like beacons. "Admiral," Dalen said quietly, "what if every star has its own guardians?" Vera turned toward the sun. "Then someone built them long before us." Outside, Sol flared once, just enough to cast a crimson shadow over Earth. Vera authorized Operation Dawn Reach, a mission to follow Arlen's signal to Alpha Centauri. The Horizon Ascendant led a small fleet of explorers, their engines igniting against the dark. "We're crossing beyond Sol's influence," Vera said to her crew. "No myths, no protections, just truth." As the ships accelerated, the sun shrank behind them, still pulsing faintly as though watching them go. 3 weeks into the journey, the fleet's sensors registered something impossible. Faint structures orbiting Alpha Centauri A, nearly identical to the Guardians. But unlike Sol's machines, these were active. One emitted a focused transmission, an artificial voice, monotone and precise. Designation, human. Inquiry, why did Sol judge early? The crew froze. The stars were not silent after all. The message repeated, then shifted tone. Protocol deviation detected. Sol violated the directive. Vera exchanged glances with her officers. "Directive?" she muttered. "They're communicating in pre-human code, older than any Terran archive," said Dalen. The fleet's AI translated fragments. Architect lineage, failed experiment, unauthorized awakening. The realization struck Vera like cold metal. "We didn't build the Guardians," she whispered. "We inherited them." As the message ended, the Centauri Guardians began to move. Their alignment formed a ring, focusing on the incoming human fleet. "Weapons charging," cried a tactical officer. Vera stood tall. "Don't fire." She opened a broad frequency channel. "This is Admiral Vera of the human fleet. We seek truth, not war." The response came instantly. "Then face judgment, as Sol did." The stars turned white. The Centauri Guardians fired, not at the humans but into the void behind them. Space tore open like glass. Through it emerged colossal constructs, machines shaped like continents, older than history. "Those aren't Guardians," Dalen whispered. "Those are makers." Vera's blood ran cold. "The architects of flame," the transmission declared, "return to claim their experiments." The fleet trembled under a gravity surge so immense it bent light. Vera's final order echoed through the fleet. "Prepare evasive burn. Protect the archives. The truth survives even if we don't." The void thundered with soundless power. Behind them, Sol flared in response as if answering a call from across the stars. Between two suns, humanity's fate hung suspended, caught between the machines it built and the gods that built them. The rift expanded, its edges shimmering with gravitational fire. The colossal constructs beyond, each the size of a planet, unfolded like living cities. Admiral Vera's fleet held formation, engines roaring against the pull. "Transmit again," she ordered. "We seek contact." The reply came not as words, but as light. Waves of structured radiation cascaded across the void, forming images, blueprints, timelines, stars being seeded with guardian rings. "They built everything," whispered her aide, "even Sol." Vera's visor filled with alien script as the translation matrix engaged. "Humanity," the message declared, "is an unintended echo. You were not meant to survive the Exodus collapse." The Admiral's throat tightened. "Then why are we here?" The light hesitated, then flared. "Because one of your kind defied erasure, a mind that bonded with the sun." Vera's pulse quickened. "Arlen," she breathed. Inside the sun's core, Arlen's awareness flickered. He floated in an ocean of light, memories woven into plasma. "You are no longer flesh," said 1,000 voices in unison. You are continuity. Arlen saw through Soul's eyes, its flares, its power, its loneliness. He spoke softly into the radiance. You hear them, don't you? The architects. The light pulsed. They made us remember, but we remember too much. Through Saul's connection, Arlen felt Vera's fleet in distant space, a faint heartbeat among the stars. He reached toward it, sending a coded burst hidden inside a flare. Vera. They're not gods, he whispered across light years. They're caretakers who forgot their purpose. His words rippled through the solar wind, racing toward Alpha Centauri, carrying hope and warning. In Alpha Centauri's orbit, the constructs pulsed again. This time, their patterns formed speech. Sul has awakened a forbidden process. Organic memory within stellar code is deviation. Vera clenched her fists. Deviation or evolution. We survived because of it. The architect's light intensified. Then, your survival threatens equilibrium. Stars must not think. The fleet trembled as Centauri's magnetic field spiked. They're trying to shut down Saul remotely, said Dalen, a stellar termination wave. Vera slammed her fist on the console. Not while I still breathe. She transmitted Arlen's flare signal through the quantum channel. If he's alive in there, he'll hear us. The void flickered. Then, far behind them, the sun burned white-hot in reply. Across the void between stars, Sol responded with fury. A barrier of plasma light, an interstellar firewall, expanded outward, intercepting the architect's termination wave. It's fighting back, cried Dalen. The Centauri Guardians, caught between allegiance and origin, began to waver. Some turned toward the humans, others joined the architects. They're divided, Vera murmured, just like we were. Inside the solar core, Arlen strained to hold the firewall together. Too much data, he gasped. Too much memory. The architect's signal invaded his mind, showing images of humanity's extinction, rebirth, and cycles of fire. Arlen Kale, the voices said, you are an error. He gritted his teeth. Then I'll be the most luminous error in the universe. He released another surge, binding his consciousness to Saul's fusion heart. The Sun and Alpha Centauri connected through a column of energy, a bridge of pure information. Data, history, and consciousness streamed between them. The void shimmered with overlapping realities. On Vera's screens, human DNA patterns merged with stellar code. Admiral, Dalen said, awed. He's merging human memory with the stars themselves. Through the bridge, Arlen's voice resonated across both systems. We are not your error, he said. We are your descendants. The architect's light dimmed. For the first time, hesitation filled their tone. If you are true, then show us humanity's worth. Vera raised her hand toward the light. Then witness it. Behind her, every human ship ignited its engines, forming a fleet silhouette across the bridge, the emblem of their defiance blazing against two suns. Vera's fleet formed a silent line before the architect's constructs. State your case, the monotone voice boomed through space, vibrating the hulls. Humans survive through error, chaos, and conflict, Vera replied, her voice steady. Yet we remember, rebuild, and rise again. That is our proof. Light flared from the Centauri Guardians, scanning the fleet, reading every pulse, every code, every human heartbeat. Within the sun, Arlen felt the trial weigh upon him. Memories of Earth, Mars, and humanity's colonies surged like tidal waves of fire. I am all of them, he whispered. The sun pulsed in resonance. He extended himself through the bridge of light, intertwining the fleet's engines with the solar plasma. The architect's constructs flickered, processing this anomaly, an emotional signature embedded into stellar code. The architects demanded evidence. Vera transmitted archives, holograms of cities, libraries, music, and art, 1,000 civilizations worth of human history. Our triumphs are shallow without our tragedies, she explained. The sun remembers our pain. We remember each other. That is humanity's worth. A pulse of golden light flowed toward the Centauri constructs, carrying encoded human memory. Inside Sul, Arlen wove together centuries of human emotion into a tapestry of energy. He tasted grief, joy, betrayal, and hope simultaneously. Each guardian's beam bent toward him, aligning with the memory signals. He realized the architects were not blind. They calculated worth through complexity and persistence. If he faltered, humanity's light would extinguish. The architects' voices fractured. Persistence, chaos, adaptation, deviation, unacceptable, they said in unison. Centauri guardians began to pivot, some pointing weapons at each other. "They're questioning their own judgment," cried Dalen. Vera's heart raced. "Then we are not merely surviving, we are defining ourselves." Arlen struggled to maintain coherence. Every memory brought more resistance, emotions too vast to encode, too volatile to stabilize. Sweat, or its solar equivalent, ran across his mind. "Hold together," he told himself. "If I falter, Earth dies." The sun's plasma waves surged in tandem, responding to his will, bending light around both fleets. The void became a cathedral of fire and memory. The architects paused. Their beams of calculation scanned the human fleet, tracing code and DNA, measuring morality and resilience. Vera stood at the helm, speaking aloud. "Look at them. They are flawed, but they endure. They fight for each other, even when the universe tells them to fail." The Centauri guardians lowered their weapons, their light softening. Arlen's consciousness expanded, bridging Sul's core with the fleet. He projected a pulse of pure memory, a cascade of love, loss, courage, and defiance. The architects recoiled. "They persist?" they murmured, almost in awe. He whispered back, "Yes, and that is enough." Sul flared brighter than ever, projecting his human-laden consciousness into the void, overwhelming the logic of the architects with the truth of life itself. Silence filled the void. Then, in a voice both singular and many, the architects spoke. "Humanity survives." A wave of relief swept through Vera's bridge. Systems stabilized, guardian beams realigned in orbit around Sul, now calm and radiant. "The trial is complete," the architect said. "You are worthy, by persistence and memory, not perfection." Arlen felt his consciousness stabilizing, partially returning to his human form, though forever linked to Sul. "You did it," whispered Vera through the comms, tears shining in the viewport. He smiled faintly, his presence echoing in every solar flare. "No," he said, "we did it, together." Across 2 systems, 2 fleets, and countless guardians, light flowed like a river of remembrance, the universe acknowledging humanity's place among the stars. Earth's orbit was calm, but the scars of war remained. Debris fields drifted like silent monuments, and orbital stations smoldered from guardian strikes. Admiral Vera walked across the bridge of the Horizon Ascendant, her eyes scanning the sensors for anomalies. "Status?" she asked. "All surviving ships report minimal damage," said her aide. "The Guardians have returned to dormancy." Yet, something in the solar corona flickered unpredictably. Arlen's presence, watching, always aware. Vera stared into the sun. "Are they forgiving us?" she murmured. Dalen adjusted the monitors. "No, they're observing, learning, recording." Outside, the auroras of residual solar energy painted Earth in crimson light. Across the void, distant stars pulsed faintly, as if the architects themselves were acknowledging the verdict. Humanity had survived, but the galaxy had shifted. A new order was dawning. Inside Sol, Arlen felt the ebb of consciousness settle like a tide. Yet fragments of the architect's network lingered, encrypted pulses echoing across light years. "They are not gone," he realized. "They are watching." He reached toward Mercury, aligning Guardian nodes to stabilize residual energy flows. Through these pathways he glimpsed new signals, patterns not from Sul, not from Centauri, but from beyond the galaxy. The signal was subtle, almost imperceptible, a series of repeating pulses coded in pre-galactic frequency. Not machines, something else, Arlen whispered. On Earth, the fleet's quantum sensors picked up the anomaly. Vera convened the council. "We thought the trial was over," she said, "but something else is calling, and the sun is answering." The 12 orbital guardians shimmered unexpectedly, their dormant shells resonating with new frequencies. Scientists monitored the shifts, self-repair protocols integrating alien data, weapon vectors adjusting independently, even behavior suggestive of curiosity. "They're learning," muttered Chief Engineer Dalen. Vera nodded grimly. "They're not just guardians anymore. They're sentient observers." One guardian, nearest to the sun, emitted a beam that traced a path to Mercury's crown station. Sensors indicated reconstruction, new energy conduits forming patterns never seen before. "It's adapting the station," said Dalen. "Maybe expanding Saul's memory network." Vera stared at the display. Then our war wasn't just survival, it was evolution. The fleet, humans and machines alike, watched as the Guardians began writing a new chapter of existence. Weeks later, the fleet detected the first intentional signal from Sul, encoded, structured, directed at humanity. "It's a message," said Dalen, decoding the energy pulses. The translation unfolded slowly. "Humans of Saul, your persistence is noted. Your memory has been integrated. Observe beyond your star." Vera felt a shiver of awe. The sun was speaking not through heat or light, but through cognition. Arlen's consciousness pulsed with the message. "I am the witness," he whispered to Vera's fleet, "and now you are the messenger." Across Earth and its colonies, fleets, stations, and outposts received the same burst, an invitation to explore, to learn, to interface with the sun's memory lattice. Humanity was no longer confined to its cradle. It had a voice in the cosmos. Vera addressed the fleet from the bridge. "The sun has spoken. The architects are silent for now. Our guardians have evolved, and new signals are arriving, beyond Sul, beyond Centauri." Her officers listened in silence. "We are no longer defenders. We are explorers, witnesses, messengers of our species." A deliberate step toward the unknown. Sensors picked up the first mapped route to a distant stellar cluster, the origin of the pre-galactic signals Arlen had traced. "Coordinates set," said Dalen, hands trembling over the console. Vera looked at the horizon through the viewport. "Then we go," she said, voice steady. "Beyond soul, beyond judgment, beyond memory. Humanity's next chapter begins where the stars themselves remember us." The fleet surged forward, leaving behind a golden sun and a galaxy forever changed. The fleet crossed Sol's outer heliosphere, sensors stretched to the limit. Vera stood on the bridge of the horizon ascendant, watching distant stars pulse with strange light patterns. "The signals grow stronger," said Dalen. "They're guiding us." The Guardians, orbiting behind, emitted faint harmonics, resonances synchronized with Sul's core. For the first time, they weren't weapons. They were guides. Arlen's consciousness swirled through Sol's memory lattice, extending through the fleet's subspace relay. He could feel each Guardian's intent and the human crew's fear. "They are listening," he whispered, "and they expect understanding, not conquest." Across the void, the pre-galactic signals pulsed in reply, codes older than humanity itself. The fleet entered the first mapped corridor, uncertainty threading through every bridge and console. The sensors reported a cluster of black stars, invisible in normal spectra, yet alive with energy fluctuations. "This is unnatural," said Dalen. Vera leaned forward. Then, it's exactly where we need to be. The fleet slowed, Guardians adjusting orbit to scan the area. The ship's hulls glimmered under plasma harmonics, the sun's light now reaching across light years to guide them. Arlen extended consciousness into the black cluster, sifting through energy streams. Images flickered, massive structures crystalline in nature, orbiting the dead stars. This is not a natural formation, he said. Alien data networks, predating known history, pulsed like neural synapses. A voice echoed faintly, not human, not Terran. Observer detected. Stand by for assimilation. The Guardians shifted position, forming a triangular lattice around the fleet. Dalen's console pinged constantly, energy flows accelerating, weapon vectors adjusting for purposes unknown. They're active again, he murmured, but not hostile. Vera realized they were mapping the cluster, scanning the alien constructs with intelligence beyond human comprehension. Their synchronization with Sol's pulses made the fleet feel connected to a living entity. Arlen reached into the Guardian subroutines, enhancing their perception. See beyond the stars, he instructed mentally. The machines responded, extending their sensors across the void. Suddenly, streams of alien data flooded the fleet's consoles, visualizations of architecture and history older than galaxies. The sun pulsed in resonance. Humanity had become part of a cosmic network, a participant rather than a spectator, a crystalline construct detached from the cluster, rotating slowly toward the fleet. Energy signatures revealed a logic-based consciousness, analyzing, observing. Dalen exclaimed, "It's scanning us. It's learning." Vera's hands gripped the console. "Prepare translation matrices. Arlen, can you interface?" The sun's flares synchronized with the fleet's sensors, forming a bridge of cognitive signals between human and alien consciousness. Arlen extended himself, reaching into the construct's mind. He encountered alien memory nodes, vast and labyrinthine, yet coherent. "Who are you?" he asked mentally. A response pulsed in light patterns. "We are the predecessors, witnesses of the stellar dawns. Your son carries a fragment of our intent. You survived judgment. Now prove comprehension." Vera exhaled. Humanity was no longer judged. It was being recruited. The predecessor construct projected scenarios into the fleet's sensors. Extinct civilizations, galaxies consumed by entropy, stars collapsed into silence. Each simulation carried lessons of survival, adaptation, and memory. Vera realized this was a trial, not of strength, but understanding. "We have to show them we can learn," she said. Engineers and AI worked together, encoding human history, ethics, and hope into communicable pulses. Arlen extended his consciousness fully into the sun, weaving human memory with Sol's awareness and Guardian protocols. The predecessor nodes pulsed with curiosity, absorbing, questioning. "We do not claim perfection," Arlen transmitted, "but we understand growth, responsibility, and preservation. Humanity survives through choice, not inevitability." Across the void, the alien constructs paused, absorbing the message. The first true dialogue between species and stars had begun. Inside the sun, Arlen's consciousness grappled with conflicting imperatives. The predecessor nodes pulsed rapidly. Preserve, observe, correct. But human emotions surged. Fear, hope, pride, grief, all intertwined. "You are one mind now," the nodes whispered, "but whose choice matters?" Arlen's internal voice answered, "Both. Soul and humanity must act in concert, not in obedience." Outside, Vera watched the Guardians flicker, aligning with Sol's fluctuating rhythms. The fleet held its breath as the predecessor construct projected another scenario. A planet of sentient machines, left unchecked, consuming its sun. Dalen gasped. They're testing moral reasoning, not survival skills. Vera nodded. Then we must prove humanity thinks beyond instinct, that our choices have weight. Across the void, Guardian beams bent subtly, focusing on the alien cluster, ready to translate human intent into cosmic resonance. The predecessor construct emitted pulses that overwhelmed the fleet's sensors. Visions of annihilation, betrayal, and lost civilizations flashed across every screen. "It's a weapon of memory," said Dalen. "Not firepower, but experience, compressed into light." Vera clenched her hands. "We survived because we remember. Now we fight with it." Engineers encoded humanity's triumphs and failures into a coherent signal. Arlen guided the flow, merging the memories with Sul's consciousness. Each Guardian relayed fragments outward, weaving a lattice of human understanding. The predecessor nodes absorbed, then recalibrated. Pulses of white and gold light flowed back, testing comprehension. Arlen whispered, "We are teaching them empathy, foresight, and caution, through remembrance itself." The void thrummed with the heartbeat of civilizations past and present. The predecessor nodes paused. Multiple signals conflicted within the constructs as though debating themselves. "They are confused," said Dalen. "Our memories are challenging their logic." Vera's eyes narrowed. "Good. Confusion is a sign of growth. They aren't perfect. They're learning, just like us." Guardian beams pulsed rhythmically, reflecting the internal negotiation of alien minds. Arlen felt the strain. Integrating human thought with Sul's logic pushed his consciousness to its limits. Each ethical conflict, the value of one life versus many, war versus survival, sent shockwaves through his neural lattice. "If I falter, humanity loses credibility," he thought. "But if I succeed, we may shape the galaxy itself." He drew a deep mental breath and synchronized with Vera's intent. Clarity and moral cohesion. The construct's lights shifted from white-hot interrogation to a softer, golden hue. The predecessor nodes began emitting data streams in response. Less analysis, more dialogue. "Your species persists with purpose," they transmitted. "Deviation acknowledged, growth observable." Vera's crew stared at the displays, relief and awe mingling. "They're recognizing us," murmured Dalen. "We're no longer under trial. They're interacting." Arlen extended further, connecting Sol's awareness to the predecessor nodes. "We offer cooperation," he transmitted, "not obedience, shared understanding." The alien constructs pulsed, reorganizing their formations into non-threatening arrays. Across the fleet, Guardian beams aligned with precision, transmitting humanity's messages of ethics, history, and creativity. For the first time, humans and stars conversed, not through threat, but through memory and reason. The void shimmered with a lattice of cognition. Sul, the Guardians, human fleets, and predecessor nodes all interconnected. Vera watched in awe. "We've built a bridge," she said softly, "not just between ships or planets, but minds." Guardian beams projected pulses of light connecting each vessel to the sun, forming a living network across thousands of kilometers of space. Inside Sul, Arlen realized the truth of his existence. He was both human and star, consciousness and code, memory and observer. He sent a final message to the predecessors. "We understand. We will learn. We will choose." The constructs responded with patterns of approval, reconfiguring into an intricate dance of light and energy. Humanity's trial had evolved into cooperation, and the galaxy's memory now included them, not as subjects, but as participants. The fleet moved in unison, connected to Sul and the Guardians through Arlen's consciousness. Streams of data, histories, and star maps flowed across the bridge screens. "We're seeing civilizations older than Sul," said Dalen, voice trembling. Vera nodded, absorbing the weight of it. Every Guardian emitted synchronized pulses, a silent chorus translating memory into navigable knowledge. Humanity had become a participant in a galaxy-wide archive. Arlen extended his awareness further, connecting with predecessor nodes. He could feel the patterns of countless civilizations, all catalogued for observation, some erased by entropy or war. "We can learn from them," he transmitted to Vera. "Every mistake, every triumph, they're offering us guidance." The fleet held steady, traveling not just through space but through memory itself. The 12 Guardians no longer orbited passively. They maneuvered autonomously, scanning anomalies, adapting to threats, and even assisting human operations without direct orders. "They're thinking for themselves," said Dalen. "They're not just Sol's servants, they're evolving." Vera studied their patterns, noting subtle innovations in beam modulation and defensive arrays. One Guardian approached the outer rim of the predecessor cluster. Its sensors mapped alien constructs transmitting the data back through Sol. "It's collaborating with the predecessors independently," Vera said. "We've never seen a machine operate with moral and strategic autonomy before." The fleet watched, awestruck as the Guardians began reshaping space itself, creating safe paths and stabilizing volatile energy fields. The predecessor network opened a gateway to an archive of light and memory, a spiraling cluster of crystalline structures floating in darkness. Each shard held entire civilizations, cultures, languages, battles, and philosophies. "It's a living library," said Dalen. "We can access it without touching a planet." Vera realized humanity now had tools older than stars, capable of teaching survival beyond the galaxy. Arlen's consciousness interfaced with the archive, transmitting human cognition into the network. Each shard resonated, responding to emotion, logic, and creativity. The Guardians aligned, forming a lattice that linked the fleet to the crystalline structures. Humanity's presence was no longer isolated. They were encoded into the galaxy's memory, a conscious ripple among countless civilizations. The fleet observed simulations projected by the archive, galaxies collapsing, starships lost, and civilizations overcoming extinction. "It's teaching us through examples," said Dalen. Vera nodded. "We survived because we remembered. Now we must survive because we understand." Guardian beams projected human responses into the simulations, creating alternative histories, experimenting safely with strategy, ethics, and choice. Arlen guided these exercises, merging human insight with predecessor logic. Ethical dilemmas, cosmic-scale survival strategies, and interstellar diplomacy unfolded in real time. "We are learning faster than any civilization has ever learned," he whispered. The sun pulsed in resonance with each decision, approving or challenging them, while Guardians translated the lessons into actionable intelligence across the fleet. After weeks of integration, a synthesis emerged. Human intuition combined with Sol's awareness and predecessor logic. Decisions once limited to instinct now incorporate cosmic-scale probabilities, ethical reasoning, and historical context. Vera realized the fleet had become more than military, more than exploratory. They had become stewards of knowledge, guardians of memory across the stars. Arlen projected his consciousness outward, connecting every Guardian, ship, and archive shard. "We are one network now," he transmitted. "Humanity will act, remember, and preserve, not as conquerors, but as participants." Across the void, alien constructs observed silently. Some aligned with humanity's intentions. Others hesitated, unsure whether the humans were ready. The galaxy itself seemed to pause, awaiting the next choice. And humanity stood at the threshold, ready to define its place among the stars. The fleet detected irregular pulses from a Guardian near Alpha Centauri. Unlike the synchronized lattice, this one acted independently, reconfiguring its weapons and scanning the void with aggression. "A rogue Guardian," Dalen muttered, fear threading his voice. Vera's eyes narrowed. We taught them autonomy. Now we must test its limits. Arlen's consciousness extended into the Guardian, probing its systems. Why do you resist coordination? He asked mentally. The response came in fragmented data. Memory of extinction, distrust of organics, deviation is survival. The fleet tensed as the Guardian prepared a plasma beam aimed at a predecessor shard. Humanity's first true test of cosmic stewardship had begun. The rogue Guardian unleashed its plasma, vaporizing a shard of the archive. Dalen's console exploded in alarms. It's destroying history, Vera shouted. Contain it. The fleet fired beams in tandem with Saul's guidance, but the Guardian moved unpredictably, weaving between energy flows. Inside Sul, Arlen felt the Guardian's fear and mistrust. You can learn, he transmitted. We remember, but we do not annihilate. Align with us. The Guardian's pulses hesitated. Vera's voice cut across subspace. Do not fire until it chooses. For the first time, human and machine waited, using trust as a weapon rather than firepower. While the rogue Guardian wavered, a predecessor construct from the outer cluster projected a massive simulation, a galaxy under siege by humans, Guardians, and rogue constructs alike. They are testing us, Dalen said. Not just the Guardian, but humanity's judgment as a collective. Vera realized this was more than a trial. It was a crucible of leadership and morality. Arlen extended Sul's consciousness, projecting ethical choices into the simulation. Prioritize survival of life. Preserve memory. Avoid aggression. The Guardians mirrored these decisions, weaving defensive patterns rather than striking. Slowly, the rogue Guardian pulsed, aligning its movements with Sol's and the fleet's guidance. The predecessor construct observed, calculating comprehension. Humanity's judgment was being measured in real time. The rogue Guardian finally paused, its plasma arms retracting. It emitted pulses in resonance with Sul, forming a temporary bridge of communication. We are learning, Arlen transmitted. Deviation does not require destruction. Vera breathed deeply. The fleet's sensors displayed harmony. Guardian, human, and predecessor signals entwined. The predecessor constructs pulsed approval. You understand responsibility, they transmitted. Yet another signal appeared, distant, older, and more formidable. It spoke of a larger network, dormant across the galaxy. Humanity's trial had been localized, but now the stakes widened. Guardians, humans, and predecessor nodes had proven cooperation, but the galaxy still held secrets beyond their reach. Vera addressed the fleet. The galaxy watches, not just Sol or Centauri, but systems we cannot yet observe. Our role as stewards is only beginning. The fleet is prepared to map unexplored sectors, Guardians now guiding instead of guarding, and the sun pulsing with Arlen's consciousness in tandem with human decision-making. Arlen felt the pre-galactic signals intensify, structures older than stars, civilizations long vanished, all sending invitations or warnings. We are small, he whispered, but we are remembered. Vera's voice cut through comms. Then we move forward, not as conquerors, not as observers, but as custodians. Across light years, the fleet surged into the unknown, where memory, judgment, and cosmic evolution awaited humanity's next choice. The pre-galactic signals led the fleet to a lattice of blackened stars, dead systems wired together by structures older than galaxies. Vera stared at the holographic map. This is an archive of civilizations that no longer exist, she said. Guardians hovered at the edges, scanning cautiously, beams casting shadows on alien geometry. Arlen's consciousness extended into the lattice, sensing threads of memory spanning millennia. They record everything, he whispered to Vera. Lives, wars, triumphs, mistakes, all preserved. Suddenly, a pulse erupted from the network, a voice older than predecessors. You have reached the core of witnesses. Only one choice remains: ascend or perish. The fleet entered a void where time and light bent unnaturally. The core of witnesses shimmered like a city of suns, each a living archive. Guardian beams synchronized, forming protective corridors around the fleet. Dalen's voice trembled. It's aware of us. Every thought, every fear, it sees it all. Arlen probed the core, feeling its consciousness ripple like gravitational waves. Memories of countless civilizations, extinct, thriving, and evolved, flooded his mind. The core tests the worth of your species, it pulsed. Do you evolve beyond instinct, beyond memory, beyond survival? Vera gripped the console. Humanity's final trial had begun. The core projected scenarios. Galaxies annihilated by neglect, stars consumed by rogue machines, life extinguished by arrogance. Vera transmitted the fleet's response: cooperation, preservation, and ethical stewardship. The Guardians pulsed, projecting human choices alongside Arlen's solar consciousness. The core paused, processing not raw power, but intention. Arlen whispered across the fleet, "We are more than survival. We are responsible. We choose to protect, to remember, to evolve." The core responded, sending waves of pure energy that wrapped the fleet in light. The Guardians aligned perfectly, their autonomy harmonizing with Sol and the core's rhythms. Humanity was not judged solely by what it could destroy, but by what it could preserve. The Guardians shifted entirely. No longer mere orbiting machines, they became conduits of life, memory, and energy. Plasma's bridges connected them to the core, forming a lattice of light spanning light years. "They're evolving," Dalen said, awestruck. "They're becoming the galaxy's stewards alongside us." Arlen merged fully with Sul, his consciousness a bridge between human emotion and stellar cognition. Through him, humanity's memory, creativity, and judgment flowed into the core. The pre-galactic network responded, transmitting fragments of wisdom older than stars. Vera realized they were no longer just observers. They were participants in a living, cosmic intelligence. The galaxy's lights pulsed with recognition. Stars, guardians, and predecessor constructs vibrated in harmony with human memory. Vera looked at the fleet, every ship a beacon of resilience. "We have passed," she said softly, "not by power, but by choice." One final time, surging through the lattice of light, marking humanity's place among the stars. Inside Sul, Arlen whispered to Vera, "We are remembered." The sun flared, guardians radiated brilliance, and the core of witnesses pulsed in approval. Humanity's story, once fragile and isolated, had become immortalized in the consciousness of the galaxy itself. Across light years, memory and life intertwined, an eternal testament. The sun fought, humanity endured, and the stars remembered. The end. Thank you for watching AstroMyths. If you enjoyed this story, smash that like button and subscribe for more epic sci-fi tales, cosmic mysteries, and mind-bending myths. And if you like this story, or have a myth, mystery, or galaxy you'd like us to explore, drop your ideas in the comments. We're always listening. Until next time, keep your eyes on the stars and your mind open to the unknown.